Thank you, Teresa and PGE and SEDCOR for hosting this event. In my previous life, actually before I became a county commissioner, actually the year I ran, I sold an event planning company. So I understand sound and how difficult it is for event planners to get it right. And I'm actually going to move this because I feel like it's in my way and it's bad for pictures. I'm just saying. So I just wanted to touch a little bit on the relationship that we have with Portland General Electric. You mentioned the two major disasters that most folks know about, the wildfires and the ice storm. And Tony's here from Salem Electric and probably other utility providers in the community. But one of the things that I have learned most about being an elected official is that you're only as successful as the partnerships you have at arm's length. And we really do have a great relationship with Portland General Electric, also Salem Electric and others. My very first year as a county commissioner, the ice storm hit in February. So I was in that seat for like 35 days. And I was able to pull my community-based hat on as a chamber director and just kind of a grassroots advocate and get people's needs met. And it was our partnership with PGE. We had folks like Teresa, Wendy Valise, others who were literally on speed dial for the commissioners and our team, responding all across Marion County, which was the epicenter of that ice storm. And I just want to say thank you again. And then we had another issue last year where, you know, you guys, your emergency response team is very communicating and transparent with the challenges that you're facing. And I think that's important in a relationship because if I don't know where your downfalls are, I can't come meet you there. And that's our job as a county and county commissioners, is to show up where our people are and make sure that we're filling that gap. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the passions that I have and the work that I'm focusing on as a county commissioner. But before I do that, I just want to introduce and welcome and thank a few people that are in the audience. And first, I just want you to acknowledge that there's a lot more elected officials in Marion County than the three of us. So if you are an elected official that works in some facet of Marion County, would you please stand? Mayor Hoy, you should lead that way. Thank you. Thank you. If you haven't had a chance to get to know the different elected leaders in your own community or your neighboring community, I would encourage you to do that because we're all a giant neighborhood and they're elected for a reason. They have a passion that you might connect with and they can help you over and out to whatever that connection looks like. If you work for Marion County, would you please stand? While normally I would love to just go name by name and tell you a story about every single person that stood up, Kevin told me I couldn't because I'm supposed to not talk for 20 minutes. So I'm going to limit that. But I also just want to mention that Betsy is here from Senator Merkley's office. I'm sorry, you probably just took a bite at food. I appreciate you being here. Who's here? Fritz is here. Fritz Graham with Congresswoman Salinas' office. I almost got that wrong, but I'm quick on the fly. Fritz used to work for a different person. We love Fritz in Marion County. And then also near and dear to my heart, Tom Hoffer and Corey Filardo, Salem Chamber CEO and Kaiser Chamber CEO. Would you please stand? Thank you. Okay, enough with my introductions on, folks that I think are fabulous. All of the individuals that stood today are instrumental in my success. I ran for office because a group of people asked me to, because we work together as a community to get things done, and I employ them regularly into the suggestions that I come up with for the work that we need performed in Marion County. And last year, when I stood on the stage, I was the end speaker, because there's like a trend that the commissioners do. When you're the incoming chair, you get to talk last. And I blasted the Oregon Housing and Community Services Department of the state of Oregon. Rightfully so. If they're here, I'm unapologetically going to talk about you again today. Oregon Housing and Community Services was gifted $150 million in the 2021 legislative session. I call it string-free money because it was general fund and lottery fund money. That money was supposed to be a direct allocation, an efficient outcome, whatever you need for wildfire victims in the Santiam Canyon and the other 7 counties that were affected in 2020. Well, efficient they are not. They are finally getting us some money. And there'll be some announcements coming from Marion County in the next week or so around our very small portion of that $150 million, but nonetheless it is dollars that we will get to use in our community with our community partners to recover the lives of individuals who are still impacted today greatly from that wire. But before I get into that, I also just want to say that because community is going to be the theme, I think, of the topics that we each discussed today, we, as a three, cannot do anything without some. And in the Santiam Canyon, they have the most neighborly forward efforts I've ever seen in my life for grassroots movement. Because of the people like Dina Freris, Nick Harville, Ed Deal, Troy Goldstrom, Gary Swanson, Melissa Bauer, thank you for showing up, even though I'm sure it was last minute. These are individuals who run the long-term recovery group and the Santiam integration team, the two local nonprofit organizations up there that are meeting the needs of every single survivor and household of our fire in the Santiam Canyon. At the time, it was over 700 households with their lives literally burned to the ground, their homes and their properties, their businesses and their communities. And the 7 people that I mentioned, and Rhonda Wolf from the United Way, I know she's here. While she might not reside in the canyon, she's an instrumental part of this effort. They've been able to take that 700 number down to just under 150 households. If you could imagine what it's like to wake up one morning and realize your entire world is ripped out from underneath you, and then the government says, we're here for you, and then they don't show up, you don't know what to do. And Marion County is really good at showing up. I talked last year about how Marion County Board of Commissioners wrote checks out of their general fund and deployed staff out of random departments to show up. And when they showed up, the community met them equally with just as much force to say we're here. And we're still here today. And while we're still navigating those 150 households, whether they're landowners or renters, they're still seen every single day because of those individuals and the full breadth of Marion County government behind them. I'm really excited for what's to come, and I'm really, really proud of this work because it's consumed my daily life since I've become a commissioner and before. We have a really stellar team in Marion County that really believes in every citizen and every household, and I believe in the real version of equity, which is meeting people where they are and not segregating them based on their need, and that's how we're running our recovery in the Santiam Canyon. So I hope that within the next 2 years, we're gonna be really successful at getting households completely home, and that'll transition me into the next concept of housing. We have a huge housing shortage in Oregon, a huge housing shortage in Marion County, and housing is a passion of mine. The Board of Commissioners doesn't really believe in warehousing. We believe in giving people a quality of life in the space they want to live in. And so I'm adapting some type of a model to make sure that when housing is developed in the areas that I can control or with the partners that can control the city environments that we work with, to make sure that we're providing housing development opportunities so people can really invest long-term in this community through a lived experience of their own that actually contributes back into the community and gives them a leg up. I call it an escalator. Some people enter that escalator at the base level and some people a little higher. Through equity, we want to meet them where they are and make sure that they can be successful in their life how they see fit. And so we're working on some creative housing programs throughout the county with certain partners to see what we can come up with to really make Marion County a livable, welcome environment for folks who want to live here. One of those opportunities will be in Mill City in the future, where we were able to purchase the largest swath of available land. Initially, it was for wildfire survivors, and it still will be as the priority. But as Melissa's team is fast-paced through this environment of getting folks rehoused, that 700 has dropped significantly. And so now we have to pivot into the community to say, what do you want to see in your neighborhoods as far as housing? We have an opportunity within our grips that we can reach for and be successful with today. And so we'll be working through that over the next months as to what that 15 acres in Mill City will look like for housing. And we'll specifically lead that from the Marion County lens, which makes sure that the local level participants, the citizens, the neighbors, and the council are part of that process. And we'll partner with the Marion County Housing Authority, because our goal at the end of the day is workforce housing. I keep looking at the Ferrises, they're sitting over here to my left. And, you know, timber used to be the thriving space of the Santiam Canyon, and for a variety of reasons, it's gotten smaller and smaller. But it's still the forefront for us because there's still people who believe in it, we believe in it, and they need a workforce that's healthy and thriving and available for them to keep producing the really great things like mass plywood paneling that are coming out of their innovation labs up there. So housing is something that's super important. And we talk to our cities. We have 20 incorporated cities in Marion County on a regular basis as to what that looks like for them and how do we support them. Through the Community Development Block Grant program that we have, we're always looking for opportunities and deploying funds into the local communities to be successful there. I'm going to transition into behavioral health, and then I'm going to wrap it up, Commissioner Cameron. Behavioral health is a really big deal, and depending on how you come at it or your understanding of it, it can be really positive or really negative. Today I'm going to talk about the positives and let somebody else talk about the negatives. Behavioral health is mental health and addiction health treatment. And for those of you that know me know that I come from a background of being immersed in this system. My mom had chronic mental health issues, and I grew up through the Marion County health system because of her. And I saw firsthand how government oftentimes thinks they know what's best for individuals without actually asking them what's best for them. And so I'm an advocate is to determine what's best for them on their own. And then we can navigate the systems for them by opening doors and creating invitations and also bringing a service out into the community. And we did that recently, last year. Again, the Santiam integration team and Santiam Hospital was instrumental in sharing their need with us, me. They kind of put me on blast one day and said, we need more. And I said, what does more look like, and how do we show up? So Ryan Matthews, who's here, he's our health administrator. I think he probably flinches every time he gets an email or a phone call from me because I'm always like, hey, Ryan, can you do more? What about this? And this was, how do we get health-based services up in the Santiam Canyon where there's no actual developable land and or big organizations that have a lot of money to invest here? And he was very creative with his team, and he bought a van. So now we have the Santiam Canyon Wellness Van that goes up to the canyon regularly and works in partnership with the Mill City Clinic and the Santiam Outreach Community Center, providing addiction and mental health treatment every single week to the citizens of the canyon because they matter. It's super important to me that people understand that they do matter and they individually matter. And so we try to expand our services in the most fiscal way possible. Sometimes you just have to do something for a moment, and sometimes you have to do it for a really long time permanently. And whatever that looks like, we try to lead from the community's interest. The next thing that I'm super proud about is a home for men and their children. In Marion County, for the better part of 20 years, there's been a home in East Salem called Her Place. It's a home where moms who are navigating addiction treatment can go with their children to try to prevent those kids from going into foster care and for the family to heal together through recovery. This has not been an opportunity available to men in Oregon or Marion County. In fact, Marion County is the only county in the state that has this service. And so we just opened a His Place in Woodburn for dads and their kids because dads are as equally important to their children as their moms. I'm really, really proud of that work. And I know it's only going to continue to grow because now that we have a His and a Her Place, I think we need another Her Place. And I also think we need an Our Place because I think sometimes families hit hard times. And if we have a family unit, we need to invest in that family unit because we need to keep those kids healthy in that marriage together or domestic partnership or whatever it is. So I'm on a journey. Josh Graves knows about this because I keep bugging him about it. I want to see an Our Place in Marion County in the future because I think investing in families is where recovery for our community begins. And lastly, I'm going to talk about ARPA investment, and I'm going to talk about it from my lens, which is families and kids. We received a little under $68 million in ARPA funds, and we invested it very broadly throughout Marion County. Just about every single corner of our county was touched by the ARPA investment. And if you're really curious about it, John did an excellent job with I don't know who in the county, and created a website for it. And you can look at a visual and click on links and go directly to that link into that community space to see what that money will do. And while a significant amount of that money is invested in infrastructure, the people are really important to me and to us. And so we talked about generational investment with these funds, because really, is this ever going to happen again? Not in my lifetime, probably. And so with the Board of Commissioners' lengthy deliberation and discussions, we were able to invest over $4 million into various organizations throughout Marion County to really focus on kids and families. Isaac's Room, Boys and Girls Club Lancaster Building, Kroc Center, YMCA, Liberty House, Hope Pregnancy Resource Center, Marion Polk Food Share in Woodburn, Catholic Community Services, Kaiser Rapids Park Regional Soccer Field, and Parkdale Park in Northeast Salem are all organizations or spaces that help families thrive. Those are what I want to see grow in our community. Less government, more community. And I believe in that $4 million is only going to compound times 10 or 20 because the people that do that work really love that work, and they take $1 and stretch it really, really far. I'm really excited for the work that we've done over the last year. Some of it you will get to see in what's on your table today. It's the newest release, like literally hot off the press yesterday, the Marion County Today newsletter that gets mailed out a couple of times a year to every mailbox in Marion County. And I'm not going to talk about it, but I'd like to bring your attention to the Behavioral Health Resource Network article that's in this. I don't want you to read it right now, but I do want you to read it. And I want you to focus on what that looks like because it's just another example of community and collaboration that Marion County is putting forward to make sure dollars are going as far as possible to care for our citizens. So thanks for your time. I hope you pay attention to the work that we do, and if you have a suggestion or a comment, hopefully positive, you're welcome to reach out to us at any point and interact because we really love working with you and in this community. Thank you.